guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today we're going to talk about Doctor Who The Collection. And we're going to predict the remainder of the sets. We have a tier list here. It's an older one, so we haven't already have them category down here for the ones that are already out. And the ones that are, well, either released or about to be released with Season 25. And I'm going to predict how I think the final 10 will come out, and potentially a Wilderness Year set, even though there's not a thumbnail for that. Because I think we could finish the setup by 2029, 2030, up in there. Excuse me. I'm really excited. Now, the ones I hear more than likely being the next three are 7621, 7621, although I think Richard Bignell, however he says his last name, has said, I think he has commented on that order and said it's news to him. So it might not be that order. I think 21 is where people might have it wrong. I do think the next sets, let me throw on my eyeball so I can see a little better, will be 7 and 6. These are the ones I think we'll get in 2025. I think Season 6 was supposed to come sooner. I actually think that was delayed. I think we were probably supposed to get that this year or possibly before 7. But there was rumors that the Season 6 set had been delayed, and then Lee Binding mentioned when he teased us with the colors for the set that ended up being Season 25, he did a video on, it was either his Instagram or TikTok or something like that, where he was talking about the sets. And one of the comments in the comments to that video was asking him about how many sets ahead he worked and all that. And he mentioned that a lot of times he's like 2 sets ahead, although we know sometimes he's up to 4 sets ahead. But he also mentioned that this one had been the next one he had been working on because the order had changed. Somehow the order had changed. And we know the order on these change a little bit, like Season 20 being pushed back because of course, pandemic stuff. So we know the orders switch up every now and then. So he was basically saying the order changed. And I believe by that is that because Season 6 was delayed. Now, why was Season 6 delayed? We don't know. That's an interesting question. It could have simply been because it's so many episodes that have to be remastered. There are, 37 existing episodes that have to be, the picture quality has to be remastered and redone, and the audio. Mark's going to have his hands full doing the audio for all of those stories. Unlike Seasons 4 and 5, where you only have actually a small amount of stories that need remastering, because most of them have either been remastered before for previous releases, or they're animated, which are already high masters, and the audios for those have already been remastered for the release of the individual cells for the animations, or Blu-rays for like Web of Fear, and we know Enemy of the World's been remastered. So Seasons 4 and 5 have less that need to be remastered than Season 6, where basically everything has to be redone and remastered, footage-wise and sound-wise. So I think that could be one of the reasons Season 6 has been delayed. Now, we all hope one of the reasons is maybe they found some missing episodes from it. I would love for missing episodes from the Invasion of the Space Pirates to turn up. That would make my day. I love Season 6. That would make my day. Any missing episode recovered would be a miracle to me. Multiple ones especially so. So I would love that to be the reason, but I suspect it's just because the amount of work that needs to be done to the existing episodes. Now, where I vary from other people is that some people have predicted Season 21 would be next, but I don't think so. I think being the last 80 set, they might hold it off for a little bit. I've actually got several different setups we're going to talk about here. I've got about 3 different layouts. I think the next one we're going to get will be a Tom season, because we'll be due a Tom season by then. Early 2026 will be 2 years since Season 15 came out. I think we get 13 or 16. I know a lot of people think 13 will be the final Tom season. And hey, that I could easily see that happening. They started with 12, they end with 13. You start with one of the best seasons of all time, you end with one of the best seasons of all time, at least for Tom's run. I get the logic of that, but I also argue that Season 13 might be a little more in the public awareness because of Sutek now. although that may have died down by early 2026. It would have been 2 years since season 1 by that point. But also because season 16 is one big, massive, epic adventure, one big story arc, they might want to do that last. Let Tom's last season be, an epic adventure. I could see them doing that. I don't really know which one they would put there, but I do think it will be a Tom season. I'm going to go ahead and put 13 just because I want 13, but I'm using these interchangeably. I'll put it that way. I think we'll get a Tom season, either 13 or 16. Again, I'm just going to use the 13 thumbnail because I want it to be 13. I think we'll get that there. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Would they go ahead and give us season 11? Because they usually don't do 2 decades in a row. They have, but they usually don't. Or would they hold off a little longer? I think it'll depend on the condition of where everything's at this point. What they're going to do with season 1's really up in the air because it all boils down to what's up with an unearthly child, whether they can use an unearthly child, whether they have the rights to release it on Blu-ray or not. All of that's up in the air. None of us really know. The fact we haven't heard anything, I would imagine the BBC is, looking at the fine print with their lawyers and copyright law and all that fun stuff. So I don't really know what they would want to do there. I think now we could get season 21. I could see that being the case right there. If season 1 is not ready to go. They don't want to probably leave all the 60 seasons behind. A lot of this is just going to boil down to when season 1 is ready to go. Whew, this is really tricky to plan out. How did I do this? Yes, I did 21 there. Then I could see season 11, because it'll have been 2 years since of John. We'll finish up John there. I could see that happening there. I mean, it's just Invasion of the Dinosaurs that needs restoration work, really. I mean, I'm sure all the other episodes will get a nice passing over and touching up too. But they're the original masters, at least. Whereas the only one that needs heavy work is episode 1. Although I do want updated effects for dinosaurs. And hey, since we're getting to the point to where we might can get more than one story getting updated effects, give me Planet of the Spiders too. But especially Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Now, at this point, we should have another 60s season ready. If season 1 can go ahead, give us season 1. Go ahead and knock it on out. I think if you can do it, you do it. And then by this point, either season 4 or 5 should be ready. A lot of which one will come out next is determined by what animations have been released. Has Smugglers been animated? Has Highlanders been animated? Has Wheel in Space been animated? And have they had enough time for their individual releases to stand alone and do their sales, which is, I believe, in about 18 months, will determine which one of these we get. Will they animate Highlanders or will they animate Wheel in Space? I think potentially, if The Smugglers is the next animation, which a lot of us think it is, I could see 4 coming first. I could see us getting 4. Although, actually, let me not get ahead of myself. I think we'll go ahead and get the other Tom season, be it 13 or 16, whatever the final Tom season. I think we get it here because they seem to have these on about. They tend to be alternating John and Tom's every year for the 70s. That's pretty much what they've been doing. I think. Then I think we get season 4. Then I think potentially we get. This is where it's up in the air. You could get a Wilderness Years set here. I think we get season 5. That's a little problem with this particular list. Is that would be 2 doctors. That would be a doctor getting 2 sets in a row. I don't know if they would do that. If they would want to release 2 sets in a row, they could always flip these, for example, just to break that up a little bit. If these are ready, then I think if season 3 still needs time. You do Wilderness Years right here. You can do a Wilderness Years set right here. You could also get that way. Season 3 could end up in 2030, or you could go ahead and do season 3 and then do a wilderness year set in 2030. I don't have a thumbnail for wilderness set. So I think this is a potential setup. Season 7 and season 6, then a Tom, be it 13 or 16, then 21, then 11, and season 1 if it's ready. Then another Tom and season 4, and then season 5 is kind of Troughton's most popular, so I could see them holding it back, much like they did kind of with McCoy. And then, of course, season 3 is in the roughest shape. Hopefully, it'll have time to have been built up by then with a wilderness year set in either 2029 or 2030. That's... Let's see. That's one way this could work. Let's pop down here and talk about another. I actually made multiple lists because I have multiple theories. That's right, I'm deducting over here. Deducing, yes. I'm doing my detective deducing. So, a slightly alternate version of that is this one. Again, with 13, 16 being either or, then 21. I'm looking at my notes here I wrote, and then here's where it changes. If season 1 is not ready, maybe season 4 will be. Again, by 2027, you could have gotten out Smugglers. It would have been within the 18 months. By then, Shapeshifter Studios could have done Highlanders. It could have been out 18 months by 2027. So season 4 could be ready to go. Then you have another Tom. Then season 1. Then 5. Then 3. With the Wilderness Years again, possibly in 2029 to give them a little more time to work on season 3, or a Wilderness Years being in 2029 or being in 2030, with it ended up like this and getting a Wilderness Years in 2030. Basically, what happened here was season 1 and season 4 flipped. If they needed more time to work on season 1, get things situated, they could flip season 1 and 4 from where I originally had them and bring season 4 out here. Now, of course, they could always give us season 5. A lot of this is going to depend on what they animate and when they release the next animations. A lot of that's up in the air. That's what makes this extremely difficult, is just not knowing what the animation schedule is. And I have one more theory. Ooh, I feel like I'm running on fumes today. I felt amazing yesterday, and today I just want to sleep. Now, this one also goes with the same theory of 7 and 6, but it occurs to me that we have 10 sets left. 5 from the 60s and 5 from the 70s and 80s. What if from this point on they alternate them? They give us 1 season in color and 1 season in black and white per year. So we could get 7 and then 6, which again, these are the ones I'm pretty set on unless stuff gets changed, us getting next year. 7 and 6. Then we get either 13 or 16, a Tom set. Again, I'm using 13 because I would prefer 13, but a Tom set. Then I think we could get either season 1 or 4, probably not 4. That probably wouldn't be enough time for Smugglers to be ready for an individual sale. I say if they've gotten an Unearthly Child sorted, we get season 1, because I don't know if they'll do an animation of Marco Polo. It's 7 parts. We might just have to deal with a recon on that one, because it would have to be 3D and 7 parts. I just don't know. So I figured maybe season 1 in 2026. I could see that. You know, the TV movie would be celebrating its 30th anniversary. It'd be great to get the Wilderness Years there, but I don't even think the Wilderness Years set has been commissioned yet, and they do work on these so much ahead of time. So I think it'll be toward the end of the range if we get it. Then possibly season 21. Now that is a huge gap between 80s box sets. I mean, getting one in 2024 and not getting another one in 2027, and that could potentially be a little unlikely. But I also figured they don't want to wait too long between Tom sets. So It's possible. It is possible. You figured they'd want to go ahead and finish up the 80 sets, but it's possible. And then I think we get season 4, possibly. Again, it just depends on how the animations go. Then we get season 11 with season 5. And then we get Tom, the final Tom season, with season 3. That way they're alternating between color seasons and black and white seasons. I could see that being a possibility. Although if they do it the other way, the other 2 ways we talked about before this, it gives them more time to work on the 60s one, to restore them, because there's a lot of episodes in most of the seasons that need restoration work. Well, in seasons 1 and 6 especially. To work on those. Whew, this is exhausting. But I could see this potentially being a thing. Although, again, I could see season 1 being flipped down because seasons 4 and 5 are easier to do. So I could see, again, just depending on how animations go, I could see these flipping because season 1 has so much work that needs to be done with so many episodes needing to be done. That's a possibility. But I could see them alternating between color and black and white seasons for the rest of the run, with, again, a Wilderness Years box set in there somewhere. So that's just some of the ideas I have. If I was to say what I definitively think will happen, there's just no way to know. Again, it's going to boil down to what's going on with the animations and how long it's taking to remaster a lot of those 60 sets. But I honestly think it would go more like we originally talked about. Losing my train of thought. And go something like this with, again, these potentially swapping. I don't know if they want to go that long between Hartnell releases, though, but there's no way season 3 will be ready sooner. I don't know. It's all going to come down to animations and what's up with an Unearthly Child. If they can get Unearthly Child sorted, we'll get it sooner. And if we can get animations for certain stories, we'll get those sooner. It's really hard to predict. But that's just me kind of giving my thoughts on it. I do think next year will be 7 and 6. And I think 2026 will be a Tom and season 21. These are the next 4 I see coming. I don't know which Tom, 16 or 13, but I think it will be 7, 6, Tom, and Peter. That's the ones I would definitely bank on, in my opinion. So, I want to know what you think. Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. I also have a P.O. box as well if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is also down there. I've updated that recently with some standard edition collection sets I'm interested in. And, of course, that Season 1 Steelbook I hope someone sends when it comes out. And I want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Stephen Crane. I do always appreciate their continued support, as I do the support of all of my patrons and my YouTube members. It's very much appreciated. Most importantly, thank you for watching. I feel like I need to go take a nap.